wonder, often wonder, often wonder. Okay, you'll know what to do when you get there now, right? So welcome to Sunday Assembly. We greet you with wide open door. We're certainly glad that you joined. Here it comes. To live better, help, often wonder more. Yes! Oh, live better, help, often wonder more. Live better, help, often wonder more. We're certainly glad that you joined us. To live better, help, often wonder more.
Well, welcome to Sunday Assembly. I see quite a few new faces here today. I want to tell you in advance that we're going to be doing an assembly that's different than any assembly we have done in the past 59 assemblies. So the 61st is going to be a one-off. So you hate it when people talk about themselves, but that's what we're going to be doing today. So this is going to be a Sunday Assembly about Sunday Assembly, thus the term meta. That's the theme for today. You're right this minute in San Diego's chapter of a global movement, which mission is to provide a non-religious, secular community wherever in the world one is needed. We'll go through the history of Sunday Assembly in a little bit, and our motto is live better, help often, wonder more, and through each month we try to do those things by living better through assemblies and interacting with each other. One thing on this song I will mention, it was written by this person who has decades of experience as a song leader who in churches who wrote written songs that are published and produced and also are sung in churches today. And that man is our very own Paul Svendsen, who is really the glue that holds this whole thing together. So Paul, love the song and love the sentiment, because Paul and I were discussing before this event. It's really, we have these assemblies and we have great speakers, great talks, we have snacks, we have fun, and we have people like me that can't sing at all who get to sing out loud and proudly do it. But we also, we both are always amazed after this thing is over and people are just looking at people talking to each other. Just being together, and it's celebrating this one life that we know that we have. It's just an amazing thing to see. We help often by supporting each other and helping each other in need in San Diego area, and there's lots of opportunities to do that. We'll outline some of those today. And we wonder more through our show love of learning and by experiencing the world together, listening to events and speakers at assemblies. A lot of stuff that we do is science-based or practical. I will say even some of the things, for instance, Easter, Easter Sunday, people say, well, Easter's really late this year. It was like, how do they derive Easter? So I don't know if you probably already know this, but I didn't. So Easter is determined by the first Sunday after the full moon, after the vernal equinox. So the full moon just happened a couple of days ago this week. So really, when you get right down to it, it's science-based no matter what you do. So that's the way I'm taking it anyways. So I do want to let you know that we do have professional child care people that can watch children aged 1.5 up. So if nothing else, you want to come to Sunday Assembly, have a couple hours away from the kids, please come on in. Whatever reason you get here, we're just happy to have you here. We do have a thing we call Life Happens, which is just sharing things from the assemblers, things that have happened in their lives. So I'm going to read some of these. I haven't read these yet, but I know it's in some of them, so I'm going to try to get through these without breaking up here, because this one's going to get me. This is from the Polendo family. After 4 amazing years living in San Diego County, Candelario, our friend and assembler, has accepted a job in Baltimore, Maryland. They put an exclamation point on that because they're excited. I am not, you people. Though we love it here very, very much, we're so excited to get out of an apartment and have a home of their own, and they want to thank all of us for being here and for choosing their family and for the last 4 years. Your love and support have meant the world to us, and we will miss you all terribly. Next month's assembly will be our last. Can you guys stand up? We'll miss you guys. Thank you for being here so much. And we will just say, we'll say see you later, not goodbye. Lelia, age 11, has had 2 surgeries in Philadelphia in the last few months, and she is now the proud owner of a rotating arm and straight wrist. She's gone through so much to be able to get there. Really happy for her, for the family. From one of our assemblies, her father passed away on April 1st after 8 years battling with an aggressive neurodegenerative disease. She was fortunate enough to have been in Nebraska at his side and holding his hand in the last moments. And she's so grateful for that. Though her brother and she will miss him dearly, we wanted to get back to science and to other families suffering with chronic neurodegenerative conditions so we can donate Dad's brain to the Brain Support Network. We hope this final gift of his will contribute to finding a cure for future generations. And that's from Alicia. And we're sorry that happened, and our thoughts are with you. Thank you so much. That's a wonderful gift. So, as I mentioned, today we're going to be talking about Sunday Assembly quite a bit, past, present, and future. We are going to start with a regular feature, though, and that will be Help Happens. Jen, can you tell us what we're doing this month?
Hi, good morning. So next Saturday, April 27th, is I Love a Clean San Diego's 17th annual Creek to Bay cleanup. At last year's cleanup, more than 7,000 people at 116 sites countywide picked up more than 100,000 pounds of trash from our canyons, parks, and beaches here in San Diego County. This year, Sunday Assembly San Diego is leading the cleanup at Allied Gardens Community Park. I visited the park yesterday. It's a gorgeous little community park that shares recreation facilities with Lewis Middle School over in Allied Gardens. There's a lot of ground to cover. There's a lot of work to be done. So any help that you guys can provide, anyone who can show up, it would be a great contribution and really do something for that community. You can sign up on our Facebook, on our meetup, at the back community service table after assembly, and we hope you can join us. Thank you.
Thank you, Jen. We have a reading today. Our reader is going to be Michael. I think it's probably Michael's first time reading with us, so come on up. He's going to be reading Today by Billy Collins. Thank you, Michael.
Today by Billy Collins. If ever there were a spring day so perfect, so uplifted by a warm, intermittent breeze that it made you want to throw open all the windows in the house and unlatch the door to the canary's cage, indeed rip the little door from its jamb, a day when the cool brick paths in the garden bursting with peonies seemed so etched in sunlight that you felt like taking a hammer to the glass paperweight on the living room table, releasing the inhabitants from their snow-covered cottage so they could walk out holding hands and squinting into this larger dome of blue and white. Well, today is just that kind of day.
And Michael will be reading for us every time for the next, all the future assemblies for the rest of history. So, nice job. Well done. Thank you. All right. So, past, present, and future of Sunday Assembly. So this thing that we're doing here, this Sunday Assembly, started with 2 comedians that were on their way to Bath to do a comedy gig. In the United Kingdom, they're quite well known, both commercially and just in the comedy circuit, Sanderson Jones and Pippa Evan. So it's these 2 comedians that founded this whole thing. In fact, my wife and I, when we got involved, it was on the magazine The Humanist, and that had these 2 standing in their rain boots in the forest, and it said, "Would you go to church if these 2 were running the show?" So they were in a car on their way to this gig, and they were talking to each other and saying, "Why don't we have a church? You know, they're not religious people, and so why don't we have a church?" They had some of them they had in their past that they had church, but they missed that community and that singing of songs and the connectivity that they found when they were younger, but they were no longer religious. So they talked about how they could make this a secular version, and they decided to give it a go. So they hosted their first Sunday assembly in a deconsecrated church, and the idea spread across Europe and jumped over the pond to the U.S., Australia, and other places. And since then, there's been as many as 72 Sunday assemblies. There's now over 40 Sunday assemblies in the world. And those are all vibrant and extant, and we've had international conferences. In 2014, there was an international conference, then one in Atlanta in 2015, in Utrecht in the Netherlands. 2016, we had a wonderful conference here in 2017, just a few blocks from here in our old venue, and in Edinburgh last year, and I'm fortunate enough to have attended each one of those, and it's just an amazing thing. We'll outline how many assemblies there are in the world, but the thing is, if you're a Sunday assembler and you go to one of these towns and you meet up with Sunday assembly people, you have a community and you have a support system, and you have some really, really fine, outstanding people to be around. From the beginning, the goal was to have assemblies all over the world and be part of a network, of a centralized support system. But because it was a brand new idea and with nothing else like it in the world, everyone learned as they went. But with a shared purpose, it turns out that organizing and running a volunteer organization, a secular organization, is hard work. Who knew? While the global community waited for a central support system to get back on its legs, each local assembly supported itself and other assemblies when they could. Over time, it became apparent that a centralized support system wasn't practical. So London, we worked for years to London have the parent group and be in charge of all the assemblies. We had accredited assemblies, an accreditation process. San Diego, in that process, was the third accredited assembly. And it just became, especially given that this is a group of volunteers who work really hard to make this happen here and all over the world, but it just became untenable to be able to have this massive umbrella group at this point. So now London just now supports its nearby assemblies in England, and all assemblies globally are part of an unofficial network, but with the same purpose, same charter, same branding, and a goal of providing a secular community for anybody who wants it. The assemblies in the U.S. are currently discussing the options for pooling our resources on a national level. And there already is a national organization in America, Sunday Assembly in America, that's been extant for about 3 years. Laura Haywood is the treasurer for that group, and there's a president and some board members, and so they've been working to help support us in what we do here. In the early days, every assembly had to decide where on the secular spectrum it fell. And this was a long discussion we had at Sunday Assembly San Diego. We have a board here. We have 11 board members. We've had an extant board. We're one of the assemblies we're truly grateful to be able to have people that are really dedicated to making this happen all through. But we used to sit, we had our board meetings before we broke into groups and had a little smaller board meetings that are a little more focused. We'd sit around in the groups of like 15 or 18 people, and half the time we'd just be cracking jokes and just being together, which was fantastic, but getting not so much done. But the one thing we talked about was, where does atheism fall on this for us? Some of the assemblies are more overtly atheist, or more humanist, or more just for humans. And globally, the movement in San Diego's chapter shifted towards providing a non-religious space to any human who wants to come, where we could celebrate the things that we all have in common: music, science, emotion, and community, laughter, tears, snacks, and wonder, and helping out in the community. For us, it was important that we made a space. I'm going to speak only for myself on this one. There are many atheist organizations in San Diego, and they have been around for a long time. And they're great at what they do. I have found that there is a pushback against people that are religious in some of those organizations. And for us, it was important that we wanted to make sure that we had a community where people could come, whether they go to church or not, that they could come here and just be together. Whether you believe that there's life after, or you don't know, or whether you believe, as I do, that there's this life, we all know there is this life. We have this life. We have this one life that we can share together. And there's commonality in whatever you believe. For me, and again, I'm speaking only for myself, I'm happy with whatever anybody can find that gets them through this life. If there's a support system that gets them through, I'm all for it. Where I do have trouble is where any group, not a religious group, but any group that tells another group how they have to do something or how they have to be. And I have to say, the one thing about Sunday Assembly for me, for all the fallibility and vulnerabilities and mistakes that I've made in my life, it was important to me that I belonged to a group that I didn't have to, there's no dogma to it. I didn't have to say anything, do anything, be anything. I'd just be myself. And we wanted to make that San Diego. We want this to be a welcoming community for you, whether you're A to Z, whatever you are, we want you to be able to come. We do have a code of conduct there where we do ask that we be good citizens and we take care of each other. But that's what we decided to do in San Diego. So there are over 40 assemblies in the world. There are 4 assemblies that are in the southern hemisphere. There's one in Adelaide, Australia, in Christchurch, New Zealand, in Canberra, and Melbourne in Australia. In North America, in Europe, there's quite a few assemblies. There's one in Amsterdam and Apeldoorn in the Netherlands, in Brighton, in Bristol. There's a Sunday assembly in Edinburgh, Scotland, and Glasgow. They have over there, and people in Edinburgh are very nice. There's one in High Wycombe, there's Leeds, there's Leicester, there's one in London East End, and there's one in London. There's one in Munich, Germany, and one where the assemblers are really united, that's in Manchester. There's one in Oxford. There's one in Plymouth, solid as a rock. And we have Sheffield, Southampton, and there's a Sunday assembly in Utrecht in the Netherlands. In the United States, there's a Sunday assembly in Atlanta, Georgia. Bristol is actually in the UK, so I don't know why I would say that, not a state. There's one in Atlanta. There's Sunday assemblies in Chapel Hill, Charlottesville, Denver, Detroit, East Bay here in California. There's a Sunday assembly in Knoxville, Tennessee, Oh, I know I can do it because we're in California now. There's a Los Angeles, Las Vegas, Los Angeles City of Angels, so that's kind of funny. There's a Sunday assembly in Nashville, in Minneapolis, St. Paul, in Orlando, in Pittsburgh, and Portland, and in Seacoast, which is in New Hampshire, Sacramento, Silicon Valley. One more. San Diego, California. There's a Sunday assembly. This is our 60th Sunday assembly. So that's the origins and rundown of the purpose of Sunday assembly. The Sunday assembly San Diego started in 2013. The first assembly was part of the founders' 40-day tour through the United Kingdom, Dublin, the US, and Australia. Local people here took the ball and ran with it, establishing 501c3 not-for-profit organization, finding venues, recruiting speakers, volunteers, getting a website, meetup going, telling everyone where we are, where we meet, and what we do, and scrounging up donations. Because Sunday assembly model was so new, San Diego decided what policies and approaches to take, and given the charter, all the while planning, given monthly assemblies and learning as we went. Nobody was safe from the pool of volunteers. Personally, on the second assembly, I just came to set up chairs just to help out, and so that's how they get you. So careful what you do. That brings us to today, connecting us with all of you on this gorgeous, beautiful day here in San Diego, on this tiny little blue dot in the middle of the vast space, 55 million light years from a newly photographed black hole. That's amazing what we're doing. So, and you were there. It's also, just to put things in perspective, it is 20 years and a day since Columbine, and it is 11 months and 49 years and 1 week since Stonewall riots. So we'll talk about the next time. But speaking of connecting, and really this one life we know we have, I am going to take you once again to Mr. Paul Svendsen for Rainbow Connection.
Uh-oh. This guy with a banjo, and it looks like he's going to use it. I was in 1970, the fall of 1970, I started what ended up being a lifetime career as a professional church musician. Choir director, band leader, it evolved over a lot of things over the years. And so Easter Sunday is still, by the way, that ended on Christmas Eve 2010. But it was pretty much straight through. And Easter Sunday is always just kind of weird for me. I don't know why, it just is. But then I come here, and it's not weird anymore. And you know, Steve Martin says that, you can't feel weird or feel sad or bad when you're playing the banjo, right? So you got a song like this: oh, grief and death and sorrow and murder. Well, put on your best Kermit the Frog or just sing this beautiful song. And if you've never heard the Brothers Casimiro sing this in Hawaiian, it's worth looking it up because it's gorgeous. Why are there so many songs about rainbows? What's on the other side? Rainbows are visions, only illusions, and rainbows have nothing to hide. So we've been told, some choose to believe it. I know they're wrong, wait and see. Someday we'll find it, the rainbow connection, the lovers, the dreamers, and me. Who said that every wish would be heard and answered when wished on a morning star? Somebody thought of that, and someone believed it, and look what it's done so far. What's so amazing that keeps stargazing? What do you think we might see? Someday we'll find it, the rainbow connection, the lovers, the dreamers, and me, all of us under its spell. We know that it's probably magic. Have you been half asleep? Have you heard voices? I've heard them calling my name. Is this the sweet sound called the young sailor? The voice may be one and the same. I've heard it too many times to ignore it, something that I'm supposed to be. Someday we'll find it, the rainbow connection, the lovers, the dreamers, and me. La 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 la, la 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 la. You sound sweet this morning.
What a lovely song. Thank you so much, Paul. We have a youth group. Candelario is the host of the youth group, so if you're interested in doing that, so this would be for people that don't want, the younger people that prefer not to sit through this part of the assembly. No, they want to have some community together, so if you want to do that, please break off. Some of the younger people are going back there with Candelario. Thank you very much. This is his penultimate meeting that he'll be hosting, apparently. So we're going to talk about present, what we do, and that'll be Amy, Alexis, Kristen, and Laura in that order, and I will turn it over to Amy.
So when you guys hear the word Sunday Assembly, I don't know about you, but what comes to mind first before anything else for me is this, what we're doing, what we're all here for right now, gathering together for the assembly. But a lot goes into putting the assemblies together, and I'm here to share a little bit about what those things are. So the core elements for each assembly meeting are our speaker, the songs, our reading, our personal moment, our theme, and of course our fantastic MC, who keeps us on track and then ties everything together with their MC address. The planning committee starts by booking our speaker and then choosing a theme around their topic and then building the songs and the readings and everything to go along with that. Here in San Diego, we're very lucky because we have some excellent universities that we can use to pull our speakers from. That's a great resource for us. We try to balance our topics between science and social science. Sometimes we break out into small groups after the topic to sort of discuss our thoughts and feelings about what we heard. There are many, many things that all human beings have in common. A couple of things that we don't all have in common are religion and politics. So you usually won't hear our speakers talk on those subjects because we just feel there's so many great things to choose from. But whether we're learning about biodiversity or gender diversity, whether our speakers make us think really hard or make us feel really hard, every month I at least feel like I go home having learned something new. Another part of our assembly is the music. Every assembly all across the world shares the belief that singing and music is a really important means of deepening our human connections, and every assembly incorporates music into each gathering in some way. They all have different volunteers with different strengths and different weaknesses, and so they all do that a little differently. Some assemblies have a full band with a guitar, drums, saxophone, lights, the whole shenanigans. Others keep it really, really simple. They have a karaoke machine and videos that help lead the songs. Like Stephen said, here we're lucky because we have the only professional song leader of any assembly worldwide, our own Paul Svendsen. Picking the songs for the assembly is harder than you might think because it is kind of difficult to pick a song that's both fun to sing and that everybody can sing. So assemblies are really good about sharing tips about that. We let each other know the things that we've done in our own assemblies and what worked and maybe what didn't work so well sometimes. So sometimes we pick our songs based on the theme of the month. Sometimes we pick the songs based on kind of what's going on in the world at the moment. And then sometimes you just gotta sing some Queen. It has to happen.
Here we go. We will rock you. We will rock you. Okay, sorry, I couldn't help myself.
It's okay, it happens. Next comes the reading, and that's usually a poem or a piece of literature that's kind of tied to our theme. And then after that comes this thing that's very, very near and dear to all of our hearts here at Assembly, and that's the personal moment. I can't speak enough about how much the personal moment means to all of us who bring the Assembly together. More than anything else that we do here at Assembly, we are about building a community. We want to build a community of support and celebration, a community that's all about the one life that we know that we have and sharing it with each other. We want to be a community that laughs together and a community that cries together, a community that shares all the milestones of our lives, whether they're good ones or bad ones. Inside each and every one of you sitting out there are stories, many, many stories. Some of them are joyful stories, and some of them are painful stories. Some of them we share openly all the time with everybody, and others might be ones that we haven't quite been ready to share yet. But over the years here at Assembly, we have heard so many stories. Stories that have been lovely, stories that have been hilarious, stories that have been heartbreaking. Some of the stories have taken so much bravery to share, and I'm so grateful for the people who have done it, because all of these stories change every one of us in very profound ways. So think about the stories that you might want to share. The planning committee can help you pick your story, write your story, support you all the way through from the beginning to sharing it, or they can also help you find just the right person to read it for you if you're more comfortable having someone else share your story, either with your name or without your name. Either way, that's okay. So as you can see, there's a lot that goes into making every assembly happen. We are always looking for help with that. We're always on the lookout for very excellent and diverse speakers, readers, readings, and of course, like I said, your personal moments. That's really important to us. So when we're done here, if you have any suggestions, questions, or ideas, please go to the Assembly Planning Balloon, and we can't wait to hear from you. Thanks so much.
Hello. So moving right along, I'm just going to present our Community Service Committee, formerly called the Outreach Committee. We're responsible for doing the service projects around our community, and we fulfill the help often part of our motto. Having a helpful heart and a do-it-to-it attitude is often not enough. We need the backing and the people and the institutional support. So one thing Sunday Assembly can provide us is a 501c status for charity status, the same that churches use when they're serving their communities. We've done a lot of projects in the past that include backpack drives for local schools, picking fruit with harvest crops to supply food banks, and tutoring kids who go on to be the first in their families to go to college. All these things we can start up again with enough interest. But we're doing a lot of things right now as it is. Our current projects include going out into the streets twice a month with Sandwich Saturdays to feed hundreds of homeless people and provide them with toiletries and women care products. We also have provided around 200 blankets to our street folks every year and thousands of pairs of socks and other things. We feed homeless youth at the Stand Up for Kids youth facilities once a month, and we have painted that building and organized their supply of extra clothes and purses and bags for the teens that want to switch out their style. We pack food boxes with Sarah once a month at the local food bank. We clean up our neighborhood, especially our beach at South Shores, and the cleaning project with I Love a Clean San Diego that we're doing that Jen announced this morning. Our next committee meeting is May 9th at 6 p.m. We're meeting at my home, so you know the first project is cleaning my house. Or you don't have to, I guess. You're all welcome to come if you're just curious about joining this committee and seeing what it does. We ask for a 1 hour a month to meet commitment from you just to talk about what we're doing. And then on your own time, join one of our community service projects and you can get it done too. One thing I love about this committee is there's always people you can find if you have an idea to help, even if it's not an official assembly event, like we wanted to provide toothbrushes on Halloween to the Section 8 housing. And we did that, and some of those kids said it was the only toothbrush they had that year, the only new toothbrush. So we understand that offering our time and energy helps not only others, but ourselves, so please come join us. You can sign up on the community service board, leave your email, and I will give you my home address.
Hi everyone, I'm Kristen. We have a newly formalized committee called the Social Activities Committee. We have been doing social activities for quite a while because one of the ways that we live better is by doing stuff together. So these are the things that happen in between the monthly assemblies. And these can range from really big events like the winter solstice celebration, and for that we would gather an ad hoc committee to plan that. And so you can participate in the planning of those things or just the doing. And then we also have really simple, easy to organize activities. It could be something like, hey, let's go to the free concert in the park. So to publicize these, you can find them on Meetup. Sunday Assembly has a Meetup page. It's also on the Sunday Assembly Facebook forum. And for the big events and the regularly occurring events, they're on the calendar in the back. So every month we have the table set up in the back that has the calendar and has some flyers and various things. And thank you to Ara for keeping up with that calendar. Right now the committee has Lynn, Dan, Ara, and Laura, and occasionally me. And current meetups that happen, one of them is the Food and Fun with Friends monthly lunch that Emily hosts. So if you would like to initiate an activity, awesome. For a good Sunday Assembly activity, some things to consider include accessibility in terms of things like cost, physical access, and transportation. And you can suggest something to the Social Activities Committee, and they can get it on Meetup with some easy steps, including coming up with a title, listing the details, making a little map, and thinking over a bunch of logistics. Not a bunch, some, the relevant ones. Or the committee can help you do that to post things on Meetup, and we're going to have some training session to do that. And the Social Activities Committee itself kind of oversees that meetup process and comes up with fun ideas for activities. So today, after Assembly, you can go over to the white sheet over on this side that will have, it has the Social Activities Committee, and you can write ideas. And you can also sign up on the clipboard to be on that committee. And then at future assemblies, oh, I pointed over there, that's wrong. In the back, social activities. Other things are over there, program planning, community service, etc. We'll get back to that. Social activities in the back. And at future assemblies, you will also be able to write down ideas by the calendar in the back. If you don't feel like organizing any activities, that's fine too. We encourage you to simply participate as much or as little as you want. It's a great way to make friends, deepen your connections with people here, and live better.
Hello, my name's Laura, and I'm the head bean counter treasurer for Sunday Assembly San Diego. I'm going to give you some history and then some numbers. There are some numbers in your pamphlet, so I'll be referring to those. So we do have a finance committee. It helps manage the spending, the donations, and also plans fundraisers. So in the first year here of Sunday Assembly in San Diego, we scrambled to get enough money just to cover the expenses. So when the time came that we had enough money to cover the expenses and then reimburse ourselves for coffee and snacks and the venue, that was a huge deal. We've come a long way from there. Still pretty new though. So San Diego decided after its first year to stop passing the hat. And that decision got us a bunch of weird looks at international conferences, because as far as I know, we're still the only assembly in the world that does not pass the hat during the assembly. So if you look around the room, you'll see donation jars, and that's for cash, but really the recurring donations, the monthly recurring donations, are the best way for us to be able to budget and then plan out any of our future events. So if all you do is donate cash into the jars, we appreciate it, but then if you miss an assembly, then we don't get your cash. So if you sign up for a recurring monthly donation, it just happens automatically. You can skip going to the ATM. I hate the ATM. And then it'll just come out of your bank account or off your credit card. And also the recurring monthly donors are the people who vote for the board for next year. So there's a tiny little carrot associated with that. So some current numbers on your pamphlet. You can see that we have 40 recurring monthly donors. And those donations range from $5 a month to $100 a month, and the average is around $22. So we do get modest amounts from the cash in the jars also, and that's on the other side of that where it says income. There are various places like Amazon Smile, we get a small amount per month. The recurring donations you can see is $895 a month. That's the lion's share of what we get. In the assembly jars, the average is $72 a month. Sometimes people do one time, so that's assembly swipe donation, 13. Non-recurring, sort of random, people feel like it, online donations, $8. PayPal Giving Fund, finally, we signed up as a nonprofit and they're giving us a little bit. And merchandise sales is pretty modest also. So you can see, and the income, the total, I don't think we have a total there, but you can see that the $895 is really the majority of what we do, and all of that is potentially tax deductible to the donors because it's a IRS approved 501c3 nonprofit. So underneath that you can see what we spend. Website, snacks, coffee, different event locations, not this one. The biggest one is the venue. The venue costs us 700 smackaroons every month. That's a lot of money. Sometimes, I think it's less than some assemblies, maybe a small number of assemblies, and there are a lot of assemblies where it's way more because it's San Diego. So the total of what we spend per month, totally what we take in per month is actually a little bit less, and that's on the other page. It's $1,009. This one right here, and what we're spending is $1,184, and that shifts sometimes. Sometimes it tips, vice versa, but right now we are a little bit of a shortfall per month. We have some cushion in our bank accounts, so we're absorbing it, it's fine. If we had two really good fundraisers, that would tip, really well. If you lost a couple of larger monthly donors, it would tip farther in the wrong way. So it means that every dollar matters. So if any of you are thinking about doing a recurring monthly donation in any amount, it means so much. But Sunday Assembly around the world is committed to having free events. That's what it's designed to do. So if you feel like if you love Sunday Assembly San Diego and you want to donate, that's awesome. If you can't, don't sweat it. We have all been there. There's no judgment. Just show up. It's all good. I think that's it. If you have any more specific questions, I'll be at the green balloon with the $ on it.
Thank you, Laura. I will say Laura has been doing our finances for the whole time pretty much, but we felt it was very important to make sure that we have total accountability so you can see how every penny goes, and that someday there may be other groups that feel like they need to dig in and examine what we're doing here at Sunday Assembly in a more critical way. We want to make sure that every I was dotted and every T was crossed and every penny accounted for, and that is the case, and that always will be the case. We want to make sure we have total accountability, and we've done that, and thank you, Laura, for all your work that you do to make that happen. So we're going to talk about the future of Sunday Assembly, and I'm going to turn you over to one of our board members, Sandra Medina.
So one of the fun things that we get to do here in Sunday Assembly is think about the future of the community and try to steer it in some kind of way. And that's one of the responsibilities of the board of this organization, which is, like Stephen mentioned, a 501c3. One of the inserts in the program is just a high-level view of the goals that we have for this year. There's a lot of things that we want to do to not only sustain but also grow the community. So we picked 4 things that we want to focus on this year. And as the time passes, these things are going to shift and evolve. But for this year, the 4 things that we want to focus on as goals, number 1 is to create an action plan to increase the diversity of our community. And that is in all aspects of it. It's not only ethnic and racial, but also in ability, in age, all different kinds of diversity. We want to make sure that we are creating the kind of environment that is inviting and welcoming for everybody. The second goal would be to increase, and it follows what Laura was sharing with us, increase our number of monthly donors by 10%. And this may or may not put us at a balance of our expenses, but really what we would like to do is kind of encourage people that to contribute on a monthly basis on any amount. And I kind of want to also bring your attention back to that graph that Laura shared with us about how much people are contributing every month. We have people contributing at all different amounts. So please don't feel like a small amount is not important. Our third goal is to create a sustainable plan for our online presence. We are a 100% volunteer-run organization, so we're trying to make sure that we have visibility to the community, that other people that don't know us, can find events and things like that. But a lot of that requires a good amount of work on a consistent basis. So we're trying to create, our objective for this year is to create the processes so that with the amount of work that we can put in, we can get a maximum visibility online. And on the platforms that we use, like our website, our Meetup, if we have a presence, we don't want to look like nothing is happening, right? Because if we go to Meetup, there's a ton of events coming up. Hundreds of events in the past, dozens of events in the future. we kind of have that visibility on throughout the platforms where we have a presence. And then as our last goal, we have the goal to promote assembler involvement, to make sure that people feel comfortable and that they have the information to attend events, to organize events. And we have the vision to have one volunteer or maybe a couple of volunteers that are the volunteer coordinators. So that's the dream right now, and we're trying to work towards that. And I would encourage you to participate on the different feedback opportunities that we have here. And with that, Kristen is going to tell us more about it.
All right, so as part of promoting involvement of all of us here, after assembly today, we would love it if you would go around to where we have the balloons and you can give feedback on the particular sheets. So over by the, happens to be the fundraising table where we have the merchandise for sale or donation. There's the finance and fundraising balloon and cling sheet over there by Betsy's over there now. And you can write down any fundraising ideas that you have. There's a magic marker by the cling sheet. And then also, if you want to be on the Finance and Fundraising Committee, there's a clipboard there that you can sign up on. And then in the back, with the calendar, as I said before, there's the social activities cling sheet, and you can write there any activities that you would like to see happen, and you can sign up to be on that committee and or to come to a little training on how to do the mechanics of posting on Meetup. And then over here, we have all sorts of great things for you. We have the planning assemblies white sheet, and you can give feedback on what kinds of speakers you would like to see, what topics, particular people, maybe particular songs that we should consider, more of something that we're doing, maybe less of something that we're doing. So anything like that, and you can just take a magic marker from the table and write on it. We also have the community service sheet that you can write ideas for different community service activities or projects you would like. And you, for all of these, you can sign up on the clipboard to be on these committees. And then there's another one for ideas on increasing diversity, because that's one of the goals. So it's a place to give some feedback on that. And then, of course, there's a clipboard you can sign up on if you want to do the work to enact those ideas. And there's a blank sheet in case there's things we have not thought of or there's not enough room on the other ones. We encourage you to be as involved as you would like, and there'll be people stationed at each of these balloons, and go for it.
Okay, we're going to go right to the personal moment. I'll skip the preamble since Amy already did that. Personal moment today will be presented. What's that? Do you have something else, Kristen?
I was supposed to do the intro to the personal moment.
Oh, you were. That's okay. I popped right up. Alexis and Alicia and Candelario, please.
Yes. So I'll just do a little intro for that. Sorry, I was supposed to step away and come right back. So thank you, Stephen, for doing the transition. A couple months ago, February, Stephen asked all of us, hey, what does Sunday Assembly mean to you? What do you like about it? And after the assembly, I went around with a little notebook and asked that question to various people. 8 people answered, and we wrote them all up, and Alicia and Candelario are going to read those responses. So this is kind of a montage of personal moments, and then after that, Alexis will give a more, her own personal moment about Sunday Assembly. And so some of these will have names attached and some won't, but they are not actually Alicia and Candelario's words.
What Sunday Assembly has meant to me. From Philip. I have been raised in a family which attended Christian services on Sunday throughout my childhood, and thus subject to multiple negative influences thereof. I early on rejected organized religion. As a result, I divested myself of the positive effects, the socialization and the sense of community and personal fulfillment that comes from doing things that benefit others. Sunday Assembly has given me these things without the guilt trips.
From Lynn, the very first time I came to Sunday Assembly, I had an aha experience. It was, aha, I have found my community. I missed community, loved science, loved music, and loved celebrating life.
From Anonymous, I was raised non-religious. As an adult, I struggled with not knowing many people. When I found Sunday Assembly through the meetup page, I felt I found my place.
From Elizabeth, I love Sunday Assembly. I wish it were every week. Me too. I told Wayne about it. It is something to look forward to.
From Anonymous, I've been coming for a couple years. I like the community, the people, the services, and the speakers.
Also Anonymous, why do I come? The people. Of course, I feel like we're pretty much on the same page, or at least in the same book. And also, I love the talks, the subjects. I like that Sunday Assembly provides service to others, like the food to the homeless and the food bank. People seem consistent here. I also love the location. I like to look at the water.
From Anonymous, I like Sunday Assembly because I feel a sense of community with other compassionate human beings. Live better, help often, wonder more is a mission statement worth living with other individuals.
Also Anonymous, Sunday Assembly is the most wonderful place that I've ever been to. It's extremely accepting. I was very shy before coming here, and now I host 2 groups because of acceptance and encouragement that I've received. 5 years ago, I never imagined that I could possibly host events. Now it's second nature, and I tell everyone I meet about Assembly. I honestly can't wait to move closer to Central San Diego when I retire so I can help Sunday Assembly expand. It really has changed my life for the better.
So we've learned a lot about Sunday Assembly today, and this is just my personal experience with it. All my life, I have been part of God's army, trained to do one thing, fight Satan. Now here I was, joining the devil's ranks. You see, I walked away from religious thinking, and it had not only relational consequences, but it changed how others looked at me, other people I loved, which was devastating to me. A close relative says secular humanist with a sneer, so I knew that being one would not be well received, but I didn't know I'd be viewed as evil. Many of my loved ones and former friends took a large step back from me while clutching their Bibles. Most people just quietly retreated from my life, didn't actually talk to me about my deconversion or confront me. There was no yelling. I was uninvited from bringing a meal to a close friend who had just had a baby, the morning of my scheduled day. I was uninvited to a Thanksgiving event my family had attended for almost a decade with close Christian friends. I mean, they had it, we just found out about it on Facebook. It had something to do with not really wanting an atheist there for the prayer. It was phrased as my comfort. We had to change our wills since people getting our children when we died were not speaking to us, to my husband either, even though he was still a believer. He was my human credential. See, I'm not going to eat you people. I had never seen such tribalism. Maybe that's not true. I'd never been on the receiving end of such tribalism. Now I was the them and they were the us, despite our shared years in community. And wow, this still hurts. It's like having an ex-spouse or boyfriend, but there was no big breakup, and you just feel these things anyway. I thought I'd sit down and explain. I'd explain, and they'd listen, and they'd get it, and they'd love me. They had a love from God that was immeasurable. Turns out not so much. I understand the threat I am to them because I was a strong believer for 30 years. I was an international missionary. I was a Bible teacher. I have a degree in biblical studies. But then one day I said loudly and arrogantly, actually, I don't think I believe this anymore. Boom, besties with the beast. So why might I be considered on Team Satan? It's because my particular flavor of religion was not the friendly version. It was they took the Bible as literal and errant. So when there's a verse where the Jesus character is saying, whoever's not with me is against me, and it's referencing Satan's kingdom, that meant if you weren't a believer, you served Satan. It was a binary choice. It didn't matter if you didn't believe in either of those jokers. So it gets worse. And this is a unique experience, but according to Isaiah 64:6, good works done outside of faith are considered filthy menstrual rags. Do a Bible study, and if God likes periods, he does not. That's why one person I loved called my charity efforts sad. Donating my kidney to a stranger that started a chain saving 7 lives, filthy rag. Adopting a child out of a foreign orphanage who was being neglected and abused, filthy rag. Becoming a foster parent, filthy rag. Feeding hundreds of homeless people, you get it. The worst part is I lost my orphan care ministry, which had helped multiple children with disabilities find families. Why? Because every Christian donor except one withdrew their financial support from the children after hearing about my deconversion. I never saw a penny in income from that, so it only hurt the children I was helping. I shouldn't have been surprised. At this time, 10,000 children, as many as 19,000 by some counts, lost their sponsorships from Christians when World Vision allowed LGBT hires. It's not that I was an isolated case. This is how we fight Satan, using tiny human shields as collateral. Collateral damage. This is how Sunday Assembly, see, I brought it back. This is how Sunday Assembly got me. They got me damaged and deflated, possibly hated, possibly evil. Hello, religious trauma syndrome. I came and sat in the very back corner with my cousin who flew in to support me. I didn't know at the time this was radically inclusive and I could bring my Christian family, which I have since. I brought my in-laws even. I love that. If this was not radically inclusive, I couldn't come. And I need you people. The first Assembly service was a lot like church, and it was uncomfortable. But then they announced a backpack drive for school children, so I asked who was in charge, and I was pointed to Aaron. You guys know Aaron. He said, you know, we need backpacks. I said, how many? He's like, and I said, could you use 50? And he said, in the way he says it, yeah? I don't think he believed me. I had 50 in my garage at the time because we were doing a homeless outreach event. A filthy rags homeless outreach event. So I grinned all the way home. I felt good inside for the first time in a while. Aaron didn't know I was a minion of the devil. It wasn't long before I asked what else the outreach team needed, and this was when I was informed the person at the helm had suffered a loss and stepped down, and long story short, we renamed it Community Service Committee, and I became the chairperson. Evil lady. I cannot describe how others' treatment of me had utterly damaged my self-image, and Sunday Assembly didn't see me through that good, evil, us, them binary. They assumed I was a good person because I valued good things. Imagine that. I felt valued again, human again. This kind of radical inclusivity and acceptance was just given to me. I didn't have to sign a doctrinal statement or prove I was worthy. Sunday Assembly's motto is, live better, help often, and wonder more, and we do. And if you were listening to what all the community service team has done and is doing, I have to say, Satan gets it done. Now, we'd like to do a moment of silence.
We're going to talk about announcements here in a little bit, so people are doing announcements, if you would come up. I will, just my own simple story. So there's this poem. It starts with Sunday's child is full of grace. I was born on a Thursday. Thursday's child has far to go. I was born under what you call a moon child or other cancer. I was born in the year of the rat. I was conceived out of wedlock. My parents had 4 children before they were 21 years old. Well, let's just say the wedding was 5 months after, I was born 3 months after the wedding. So, calculus. You know, I'm not out at work for my political views or my religion or lack thereof, or my past drug addiction, or that I'm a trans-identified person. So, atheist, trans-identified, ex-drug user, Thursday child has far to go, rat, year of the rat, cancer. So I'm a mess, but I'm here with you. So I'm just really appreciative to be here. And I really appreciate this community so much. It's just amazing to be here. So it's announcements. We have come on up, Mimi and Jen and Aaron. Just so you guys know, one thing we've been putting up here is our crawfish boil, which we had planned for May 4th. We have Earth Fair next week. We're hosting the cleanup next weekend. We're doing Pride planning, which we just had our first planning meeting, and we have pushed the date of the crawfish boil to later this year by vote, simply because we didn't feel that we had enough spoons left to be able to do this in a really effective way. It's a great community event for us, and we still are committed to doing it. So that'll happen in August and September, just like it did last year. And I turn it over to Laura's going to do Earth Fair.
Okay, Earth Fair. We are going to have a booth at the Earth Fair a week from today. It's exciting. Some of you I met at Earth Fair, I think, right? Okay. And people come past and ask us what we're about, and it's awesome. If you want to come, if you want to help set up and help break down, please talk to Sandra after. Sandra's the person that did the goals section. And if you just want to show up, just come by, go to Earth Fair, hang out, crack some jokes, talk to some people. It's all good. We're looking to have a good time. Okay, thanks.
I'll be hosting a rummage sale at my house Memorial Day weekend, and if you're going to the park cleanup, my house is just a couple blocks away. That'd be an excellent time to drop off some things for the sale. There'll be another assembly before the sale, so you can bring things there, or I can remind you again. It's a major fundraiser. It's a lot of fun, but it's also a lot of work. So if you're interested in volunteering, please let me know. There are many different jobs, probably mostly right on the day of, or on the days of, because this year is going to be 2 days, or the week before to sort things. If you have any questions, just flag me.
Okay, this year we are participating again in San Diego's Pride Parade and Pride Festival. Those will be on July 13th is the parade, and the festival is on the 13th and 14th over in Balboa Park. If you'd like to participate, we'll have sign-ups at the next couple assemblies and on Meetup and Facebook as well. And if you're interested in helping plan our presence at those events, there's a lot that goes into it ahead of time. Please see me at the programming table in the back or Laura at the finance table, and we'll notify you of our next meeting. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So I know there's some of you that's your first time here. I know because I haven't seen you before, and I want to let you know this is a one-off assembly. So whether this was exciting or not exciting, I didn't put this is the sign language term for the word boring. I didn't use that. So bear with us. Please do come again. Next month we have really good ideas for a speaker. We have a bunch of people in the waiting, but in June we have the woman, the very accomplished woman who wrote The Perfect Predator, a scientist's race to save her husband from a deadly superbug, which is on the national bestseller list and you can find in your local bookstore right now. And she is going to be talking to us. That's Stephanie Strafty, and we're really excited about that. So we have some great topics coming up. We after the assembly, we always go have snacks and stuff in community here. So please do say hello to people. Assemblers that are here all the time, if you would kindly say hello to people that you don't know. That would really be helpful to break the ice there. And we have a restaurant that we go to. So they are open today. It's called Barrio Star. That's something that the assemblers do. So if you do want to continue the community, you can go there. I'll be going to Mom's for Easter dinner. But one last time, for a fantastic sing-along that we love so much, Mr. Paul Svendsen.
I think we stand up for this one. What do you think? I expect the roof to be blown off on the chorus of this song. Here we go. When I wake up, well, I know I'm gonna be the one who wakes up next to you. When I go out, yeah, I know I'm gonna be the one who. If I get drunk, woo, well, I know I'm gonna be the one who gets drunk next to you. And if I haver, hey, I know I'm gonna be the one who's havering to you. But I would walk 500, and I would walk 500 just to be the one who walked 1,000 miles to fall down at your door. That was pretty good. I think you got a little more gas in the tank. When I'm working, yes, you know I'm gonna be the one who's working hard for you. And when the money comes in for the work I'll do, I'll pass almost every penny on to you. When I come home, oh, I know I'm gonna be the one who comes back home to you. And if I grow old, well, I know I'm gonna be the one who's growing old to you. But I would walk 500 miles, and I would walk 500 more just to be the one who walks 1,000 miles to fall down at your la-da-da-da, la-da-da-da, la-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, la-da-da-da, la-da-da-da, la-da-da-da. Oh, that's rocking. You guys are getting there. When I'm lonely, well, I know I'm gonna be the one who's lonely without you. And when I'm dreaming, well, I know I'm gonna dream without the time when I'm with you. When I go out, yes, I know I'm gonna be the one who's going out with you. And when I come home, oh, I know I'm gonna be the one who's coming home to you. I'm gonna be the one back home. but I would walk 500, and I would walk 500 more just to be the one who walks 1,000 miles to fall down at your door. La da da, la da da da, la da 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 da. La da da da, la da da da, la da 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 da. One more. La da da da, la da da da, la da da da. I lied. One more time. La da da da, la da da da, la da da da,
Thank you, Paul. And thank you to each of you. We'll see you here the third Sunday, 11 a.m. right here at this location. Thanks so much. Next month.
la da da da.